listen to the full audio, the full Snapchat? What was captured?
I have.
What is that like?
I hate to be somewhat cliche, but it obviously I hear an evil voice. And to say whether or not that's the face of evil in that picture, yeah. I mean, we're still in the mindset of having to still look at the big picture here as far as was someone else involved along with this individual.
Sure.
You know.
Is there anything on that leads you to believe that?
No.
Other than you just don't want to rule anything out at this point.
Right. Yeah, we want to, be outside and be able to hopefully shrink that picture down to, once we end up in our courthouse, be able to say this was what actually happened.
Is the attack itself on the recording?
No.
Yeah, that voice, even that little snippet that you guys released, it's that voice of the mask is off, and it's just emotionless. Here's what I want.
Right.
Yeah, the hairs stand up on the back here.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Where's the investigation at right
now? At this stage, since day one, our most recent update is we've received over a combination of both phone and email tips at 35,000. So if you do the math on that, even people are frustrated, obviously, and we are too, that we're this far out. But
just the time to process.
Exactly.
Those.
Yeah. So you can't, obviously there are those that not every one of them, admittedly so, is valid.
Yeah.
But we still have to, our guys still have to take that time to, kind of go through those and make that determination. So they continue to follow into, and there are still tips and leads coming in. I know even in my position as sheriff, individuals have contacted me directly because they don't want to talk to anyone else other than me.
Sure.
But usually what I have to end up doing with the information I receive, either I flip it around and call it in myself, or I, get on my laptop and send it in as an email tip myself. Yeah.
Great.
So, and I guess delving further into, particularly with the Golden State investigation, and then, more recently here in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
More talk of, obviously, of looking into the DNA genealogy aspect and being able to use those tools.
Do you have some DNA?
I'm going to offer a blanket and say, as with any crime scene, there's always DNA. There's DNA even in fingerprints.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer is yes, but again, I don't want to go into specifics.
With this new technology that's come out just since this crime has happened in the last year, we've got this new way of finding a person through familiar DNA. By tracking down their second or third cousin and then working backwards.
Right.
This guy's going to be caught. It's just a matter of time with the technology, with the pictures, with the audio. Why doesn't this guy just turn himself in?
Good question, James. There's even been discussion both by the public and we as investigators. What's the chances the individual, or even I'll go as far as to say maybe even individuals involved, what's the chances they are already dead somewhere?
If they are alive, do they get a better deal if they walk in and turn themselves in?
In general, and this is again kind of a blanket comment that most individuals that surrender themselves to the system, if you will. And the simple example, obviously, we have folks from time to time turn themselves on an arrest warrant and, just walk into our lobby and turn themselves in. So it is something that I know that particularly most defense attorneys will jump on that, and say, Your Honor, my client, surrendered himself to the authorities. So obviously it's up to, particularly the judge in weighing that and see whether or not it's to be considered.
You have the death penalty in Indiana?
We do.
Is it lethal injection, or what do you got?
Yes, lethal injection.
That's the only means there.
Yeah.
So, that might be at least a chance to maybe avoid the chair there.
Right.
What else do we need to know? Is there anything that would be particularly important for people to keep in mind about this case? Do you want to say something about social media and the responsibility of...
Well, I guess somewhat related to that, and again, I guess I've heard it more so, or been told at least more so, the social media, the two words that have come up several times actually is cold case. And
people have changed the definition of that, and I know any law enforcement individual that I speak to, they bristle at that term, because to you guys, cold case means it's gone cold, nobody's working on it.
Right.
To people that watch Dateline and NBC or CSI,
Right.
Cold case just means, it hasn't been solved yet. But you guys probably take that personally. So I not to cut you off, but it's not a cold case, right?
No, it's far from it. And you're correct with your evaluation of, in our business, it basically means every little piece of information has been followed into, and it did not develop anything. So in our business, actually, it's referred to if a case gets to a point where we have nothing to follow through with, we always label it as suspended pending new information. So it's not necessarily clear, because a true clear case means that it's been solved.
Yeah.
All right. Suspended means that basically nothing else to work on.
Yeah.
But it's always there. Obviously, with this type of investigation, we don't have the pressure of statute of limitations.
Right.
So, we could...
No statute of limitations on murder.
Right. So...
trying to think. Well, thank you very much for your time. Is there... while I'm in town, is there anybody else specifically that I should speak to? Any place other than the trail that I should see?
Let's see. You've met with Mike and Becky and Anna.
I hear they're building a park.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good idea.
And I'm glad you brought that up. You might not. It's very rough right now because it's in the construction stages. But it's just roughly 3 miles up there, not even that far.
3 baseball diamonds, a bandstand, playground.
Yeah, and Mike is on the forefront with that, and I really commend him for that.
Are there any good suspects at this point? Does this investigation, is it narrowed in on one person, or are you still taking a wider look at things?
Still a wider look, but again, discussions, I think, and going back to that cautiously optimistic thing and being able to take the DNA avenue.
Yeah.
And then be able to hopefully be able to, hone further into an individual or individuals.
All sorts of new things you can do with DNA. They've got a procedure now. You can put the DNA in and it pops out what their face probably looked like,
Mm-hmm.
which is better than any composite sketch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Y chromosomes that'll trace back the father's lineage, and you've got the mitochondrial. This guy's caught. He just doesn't know it yet.
Well, and it's somewhat related to that, James, is again an old police or law enforcement statement that once we started getting word of this kind of technology that was available, the words that came to mind for me was that for many individuals, it could very well now be you can run but you can't hide.
Yeah.